Alright guys, Joe Saglimbeni back on his YouTube channel for another video. This time, I'm going to explain how I beat the S&P 500 with my stock portfolio. So let's get to it. Alright guys, so many of you know that I'm a long time, for 4 decades now, a individual investor in stocks, and I'd never really got into how my portfolio performed, but I figure I do it today because I have my last 10 years and how I've done against the S&P 500. And I figure you'd be interested to know how I did and to see if I stack up with some of the greats, like a certain Warren Buffett or something like that. Before I start, I just want to say I am not a financial planner. I don't play one on YouTube. And this is just me giving information about my portfolio and my stocks that I own. I recommend that everyone please reach out to their own financial planner or financial professional if they need any opinion on their personal portfolio or anything to do with individual stocks. All right? This stuff is not easy. It can be scary, and you can lose just as much as you win. All right? So I just wanted to put that disclaimer out there. All right? So I have been investing for over 4 decades, and I first started with mutual funds over 30 years ago. But I changed to individual securities around 20 years ago. And then I went deep into analysis of individual security stocks. So I have a good amount of experience with this over 4 decades. And I have a method of the stocks that I pick. So if you go to my website, accessnotdenied.com, you'll see that I have some tools or some articles about how I pick stocks, individual securities. And basically what I look for in stocks are brand names with moat or a strong business. And they're rather large companies, and usually their earnings and revenues are growing year over year. And usually, not sometimes, or sometimes not usually, or vice versa, they pay dividends. And these dividends grow every year. So they raise their dividends every year. That's basically the equities that I look at. All right? I mean, there's more than just that, but it's basically what I look for. And it all starts out with the stock's chart. So if the chart is a good chart, then I analyze the stock more, see if it's a brand or if it has a moat, see if it's like a monopoly type company. Does it raise its dividend every year? And is it growing revenues and earnings per share every year? And then I take it from there and do a very deep evaluation of the company and the stock and the chart. So I figure I show you guys how I've done the last decade. And let's just get to it right away. So I'm going to put on my screen the last 10 years of my portfolio, and you'll see that it's going to be versus the S&P 500. You might see the Nasdaq and something else. So I'm going to put it on the screen right now. So let's put it up there. All right, so you're seeing on my account here, you're going to see 1 month, 3 month, year to date, 1 year, 3 year, 5 year, and 10 year. And let's just take a look how I performed. So year to date, my portfolio is up 44.5%, roughly. That beats the S&P 500, which is up 18.4, Dow Jones, which is up 20.79, and it just loses against the Nasdaq. All right, but we'll get into the Nasdaq a little later. Now, let's look at the year. That's the full year, one whole year. As you can see, same thing, 44, 54, same other numbers, right? 18, 20, 44, 92 for the Nasdaq. 3 year, this is annualized return. So every year I average this return. Okay? 3 years, 28.67% for my portfolio. For the S&P 500, 14.18%. For the Dow Jones, 14.41%. And for the Nasdaq, 24.39%. So if you notice, I'm beating even the Nasdaq in the 3-year period annualized. 5-year annualized, 22.5% for my portfolio, 15.22% for the S&P 500, 15.36% for the Dow Jones, 22.12% for the Nasdaq. And that's a 5-year period. And again, I'm beating the Nasdaq, which is the key here. The Nasdaq is probably the more aggressive of the indexes. It has a lot of tech names in it. It has a more aggressive companies. So I like to try to beat that. But this video is about beating the S&P 500. And I'm not having a problem beating the S&P 500, as you can probably tell. All right, so for the 10-year period, annualized return for my portfolio is 20.21%. I've averaged 20% a year for the last decade, obliterating the S&P 500, the Dow Jones, and the Nasdaq composite. All right, so in a little while, I'm going to go over how I did this and what you could maybe do to try to beat the indexes. All right, I'm very confident that I can continue over a long period of time to beat the indexes, especially the S&P 500. All right, so let's look at the 6 stocks that make the majority of my portfolio, and we'll go real quick and talk about them. All right, so let's get to that. All right, so the main, or the 6 stocks that I have the most percentage of my portfolio are MasterCard, Starbucks, Apple, Nike, Costco, and Lowe's, the home improvement chain. Those are the 6 stocks that I own, and they're over 50, 60% of my portfolio. All right, so why did I perform so well with these 6 stocks? Well, let's take a look at them real quick. MasterCard How many credit card companies that actually make the credit card or make a payment type credit card are there in the world, really? You have really four major ones: Visa, MasterCard, American Express, and Discover. I happen to own MasterCard. And at the time when MasterCard went public, about maybe 12 or 13 years ago, Visa was not public. So I jumped on MasterCard back over a decade ago and went into MasterCard. I feel at the time American Express was public and Discover Card, I think, was public. But I wouldn't have bought Discover Card, the stock anyway. I ended up going to into MasterCard and have not ever sold it. And that stock alone, over the last decade, is close to a 600% return overall. So that's MasterCard. Next one's Starbucks. So, Starbucks, everyone should know, is a coffee chain. But how many coffee chains are there that are publicly traded? 2, 3? Let's just say the two major ones, Starbucks and Dunkin' Brands, Dunkin' Donuts. Those are the two major coffee stocks, for example. Again, not much competition, similar to MasterCard. Not much competition. A brand, a strong brand with a strong business. And by the way, both companies, MasterCard and Starbucks, pay dividends and raise their dividends every year. Sometimes double-digit returns, raises on their dividends. Next one is Apple. Who does not know Apple? There's only two manufacturers for smartphones, really. Android, software anyway, Android and Apple. And probably more than half of them are Apple's iPhones. But in addition to that, the business itself, the computers, iTunes, their cloud, they're just very strong. They also initiated a dividend maybe about 7 or 8 years ago and have been raising that dividend ever since. So again, another big brand, another one that raises dividends. The next one is Nike, the sneaker maker, the apparel maker, the sports apparel maker. Well, how many apparel or sports sneaker makers are there? Not many. Why not have the best? The one that Michael Jordan, who is, let's face it, one of the greatest basketball players ever. His name is behind Nike. Nike's behind him. I'm going with Jordan, a winner. I'm going with Nike, a winner. Another company that raises their dividend every year. Next one is Costco. Again, how many of these bulk type retail stores that sell groceries or milk or anything, how many are there? There's not many. There's BJ's, Sam's, Costco. Sam's is part of Walmart. You have BJ's and you have Costco. I really don't want a company that's tied to another retailer, like a box store like Walmart, so I went with Costco. Now, you could buy Walmart, but you're not really getting a Costco when you buy Walmart. You're getting Walmart with Sam's. So, again, Costco raises their dividend every year. And then the last one is Lowe's, the home improvement center. How many home improvement centers are there in America? Really only two. Lowe's and Home Depot. And the reason why I own Lowe's, it's the smaller company, but it raises its dividend every year a little bit more than Home Depot. But I wouldn't be upset with you if you bought Home Depot. So those are the 6 stocks that make up most of my portfolio. And they are the reason why I've averaged 20% annually for the last decade. And I don't really see these 6 stocks. I don't see myself getting rid of these 6 stocks. I mean, of course, I'm going to analyze them. I'm going to continue to look at them. If the businesses start slowing down or if something happens, hopefully I could pull the trigger, sell, make a good gain, and find another stock. All right, so that's it, folks. That's how I beat the S&P 500 and how I think I'm going to continue to beat the S&P 500. All right, guys, so hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Give a like, a comment, a share. Let that algorithm work for me. All right, and you guys have a great investing day and have a great day, period. All right, I'm going to say goodbye. Goodbye.